Hey guys, Mr. Rainyard here. Today I want to talk with you about number lines going from positive to negative integers. What happens when you go beyond zero? Stick around, we'll find out. For today's lesson, there are a few words I want you to know. It might be a good idea to pause the video after each word and write these down in a math journal. It's really helpful to have definitions and meanings of words when learning a new concept. I want to start with the word positive. As you can see, we represent that with a plus sign, and positive is any number greater than 0. Now, negative would be the opposite of that. It's any number less than 0, and we represent that with a minus sign. Now, to increase, of course, means to get bigger, to grow. So if we move to the right on a number line, we will increase. And if it was a vertical number line, which is another option we always have, when we move up the number line, we would increase. And decrease, of course, would be the opposite of that. Decrease would be getting smaller or becoming less. So when we move down on a vertical number line or left on a horizontal number line, then we would definitely be decreasing. So other things to think about with number lines is this is horizontal. We think of the horizon, right? When you're flying in a plane or you're on a ship and you look out and you see that where the ground meets the sky, that's the horizon, and that helps us remember what horizontal is. And then vertical, when you go to a college tryout and they want to test your vertical jump, that vert right there, or if you like skateboarding, the vert ramp, right? Vertical means up and down. So then we have integers. Integer is just a fancy word for whole numbers. No fractions, so 1/2 is not an integer, but 1 is. So is -3, so is 0, and so is 4. Those are whole numbers, whether they're positive or negative, they are called integers. And then lastly, opposites. Opposites are the kind of the cool thing we're learning about today, is how when I have a negative number, its opposite is its same digit or value as a positive number, because they're going to be the same distance from 0. And if you add a positive and a negative that are opposites, you will always get a sum of 0. So again, I would write these words down. I would write down those definitions and listen to me say them again if you need to. But if you understand those terms and know how to work a number line, then it should be easy stuff for you today. So the goals that we have for today is to be able to understand positive and negative numbers, to be able to identify an opposite of either a positive or a negative number, to be able to identify the opposite of 0, and to be able to create and use number lines to help us figure out what numbers, what integers would be positive or negative based on a given situation. So let's fill out our number line. What we have here is a horizontal number line, and if I were to stick 0 right here in the middle, that would mean everything to this side would be positive, and everything to this side would be, that's right, negative. And if we're doing a vertical number line and we stuck 0 right here, that would mean everything up here is positive, and everything down here is negative. So if I were to place +1 here, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, we'll just go there. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What would this be? Now remember, opposites are numbers that are the same distance from 0, and when you add them together, you get 0. So if I had +1, if I went here, what would I have to add to that to get 0? -1. So when I go this way, my digits will increase. They look like they're increasing. They're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but they're becoming farther and farther away from 0 or negative, so they're actually becoming smaller and smaller. And this is the concept that seems to trick or confuse a lot of people. But I'm going to just put my -1 here, my -2, my -3, -4, and -5. And as you can see, 1 and 1, I'm a human, so it may not be as perfect as a computer, but these are the same distance, 2 and -2, 3 and -3, 4 and -4, and 5 and -5. You may also notice when I write positive integers, I don't put a plus in front of it. We just like to write those as normal whole numbers. We don't put any symbols in front. It's assumed that if there's no symbol in front of the number, it is a positive integer. To say that it's negative, we do have to have the minus sign. So here, if we were to fill that out, start going up here, we'll just kind of do the same thing, kind of space them out. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. As you can see, they're increasing. But now we're going to go down. So again, we're going to make our little hatch marks. And this is going to be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So here's something I want you to try and do. This is going to be for either less than, greater than, or equal to. And I'm going to put two numbers here. I'm going to put -5 and I'm going to put -2. I want you to figure out what goes here. Which one has greater value or less value? -5 is less than -2. And the reason is that it's farther to the left. It has decreased beyond -2. It's farther away from 0. It's farther away from the positive side. There's many ways to look at it, but the greater the digit is with a negative symbol, the less value the number has. So I am going to tell you a couple things, and I want you to figure out if you can find out where 0 is. So I will tell you that there is only one negative number on my number line. Do you know where 0 is? That's right. 0 is at x. Now, assuming that this goes on a single scale, so each of these is only 1. You know, they could be 5, but in this case 1. So this would be 1, 2. This is 3 down. What would q be? I want you, on the one you drew, I want you to mark a point, and you can call it point V, and I want you to make it the opposite of S. Mark point V at the opposite of S. Where would that be? Well, we learned that the opposite of every positive integer is its negative integer with the same digit. So we would need to go to -2 because S is at +2. So this point right here would have to be point V, and it would be at -2. Okay, I want you to mark a point that is less than Q, and I want you to mark that one W. I want a point that is less than Q and make it W. Well, here you can see Q, and if we need to go less, remember that means we need to decrease. So that means I could have picked either of these points, and whichever one you chose is fine. I'm going to take this one just because it's the farthest. I'm going to mark it W, and that happens to be -5. So that works. Okay, and give me a point now. I want you to mark any point that is between point Q and point R. Any point in between point Q and point R. So you had a lot of options here. You could have chosen any of these. Now obviously V, X, and S are already marked, so it could have been this one, this, or this. For the sake of fun, let's just, boom, put it here. And I didn't tell you what letter to name it. Sorry, we'll name it Z. Z, for me, is 4. Your Z could have been anywhere between Q and R. So in your practice work for Eureka Math, you have a table like this, and when numbers increase or go up, we see words like this. We see gain, and I suppose I should probably write the word increase in here. But when numbers go up, it means that we've gained, we've received, or we deposit money into an account, something grew, our account was credited. These will all make our numbers increase or go up. Now, on the other side, things like this would make our numbers go down. We lost money, we owed money, we withdrew money, we debited money from our account. The banker would have had to do that. We were charged a fee, something shrunk. and that would make it decrease. So when we would write those integers, if we had a situation, let's say, and I'm going to use sports here, let's say that the running back gained 5 yards. Would that be positive or negative 5 yards? That would be positive. So these we can say are positive integers, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, if I'm at negative $5 or 5 yards and I gain 2, that's still only going to put me at negative 3. So it doesn't mean my number has to be positive, but the integer I would write would be positive because it shows a gain. So it would be positive 2. In this case, we would write positive 5. If he gained 5 yards, we would say that the integer is 5. So the integer we would write would look like this. Done. I don't need the positive sign. It is positive. It's assumed without the symbol. All right, but instead of him gaining 5, let's say the quarterback was sacked and he had a loss of 8 yards. Okay? A loss of 8 yards. How would we write that integer? We would have to write negative 8 because he would have decreased or gone down 8 yards. So this is some more words you should probably write down and put the meanings of in your math journal. When you deposit money into an account, you're putting money into the account, and therefore your account gets credited. Credits are good things on your bank account. That's totally different from a credit card, okay? You can ask mom or dad about that. Feel free to come and ask me. I'd be happy to give you my take on it. But crediting your account and a credit card are two different kinds of things. Just like the credits at the end of a movie, totally different level of credits. Giving credit to somebody for something they did. There's different street cred. All right, this is all different forms, but this credit in a bank account is good for you. Debiting would pull money out of your account. That'd be bad. Withdrawing money is when you take money out of your account and maybe get cash. So words to know, words to write down, put them in there, and using your understanding of these words, using number lines to help you, figuring out where to plot points based on information you know, and then paying attention to the vocabulary to figure out how you would write the integer can greatly help you on these lessons and move on from this to understand positive and negative numbers, to understand that opposites are the same digits but in positive and negative. Every positive's opposite is a negative. Every negative's opposite is a positive. And this leads me to the final point. What is the opposite of 0? 0 is not positive or negative. It's nothing. It's the middle ground. It's the halfway point. I had a student talk to me about when we drive to see our family, sometimes we meet halfway. Okay, that's 0. So when you're going away from your house, maybe you're going negative. When you're going back towards your house, maybe you're going positive, however you want to view it. But the 0 is the halfway point. And remember, when you add two opposites, you get 0. The sum is 0. And they are both the same distance from 0 on a number line. So what number can you add to 0 and get 0? What number is the same distance from 0 on a number line? That's right. The opposite of 0 is 0. Because it fits those two rules, and it's the only thing that makes any sense. So the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. The opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. The opposite of 9 is negative 9. But the opposite of 0 is 0. All right, everybody, that's today's lesson. I know it was kind of long, but it is the introductory lesson, and it's extremely important to know these words, be able to identify plots and points on a number line, be able to graph it, as well as use these vocabulary words to figure out how to write integers, whether they're positive or negative, to figure out if things are increasing or decreasing based on the information given. Have a good day. See you next time.